Cyanotypes are a photographic printing process that produces a cyan blue print. This process is most well known by engineers who use this technique to create low-cost copies of drawings known as blueprints. Digital cyanotypes are made up of a digital negative of a photograph using the same process of this 18th century technique. Using two chemicals, ferric ammonium citrate and potassium ferriniacide, to create a light-sensitive emulsion, along with transparency paper and watercolor paper, you are able to create this interesting fine art print. After the task of picking a photograph to print, using a photo editing application like Lightroom or Photoshop, you will edit your image to use for the printing process. This includes a series of 8 steps: uploading the photograph, changing image to black and white, adjusting your curve to decrease the highlights and increase the shadows, inverting the image, resizing the image, adjusting the resolution, and printing onto transparency paper. Once your transparency photo is printed, you can move on to the step of coating your watercolor paper with the emulsion, to then expose it to UV light and have your digital image turn into this fine art print. After mixing the chemicals, you can use a sponge brush to cover your watercolor paper to have an even coating. There are 2 techniques to use when applying the emulsion. You can use masking tape to outline a border so the chemical does not bleed, or you can use a more artistic approach of coating, using a paintbrush with thick strokes to give it more of a natural look. Once the coating dries, you can add your transparency print on top of your watercolor paper. Now it is time to expose your image to UV light. Using a sheet of glass to secure the transparency print to the coated watercolor paper, you can expose it to UV light, the sun, to help a process called cross-linking. This is when the chemical reacts to the sun and turns the print into that beautiful cyan blue color that's distinctive to a cyanotype print. Once your image is exposed, the print is submerged into cold water to rinse away the remaining chemicals. It is recommended to leave the print in running water for about 20 minutes. Your print is now ready to hang dry and frame to showcase.